Hello, this is a special edition of the COP News, live from Studio 165. I'm Landon Weaver.
And I'm Erin Warner. And now to our top stories. You may have had patients asking if they should stop taking their statins before getting their flu shot, or if they should avoid getting a flu vaccine because they're on a statin. While others were encouraging Americans to stop taking their statins, we at COP News are here to set the record straight. Recently, the Journal of Infectious Diseases published a post hoc analysis that evaluated the influence of statin therapy on the immune response to the influenza vaccine in nearly 7,000 adults over the age of 65. The primary outcome was changes in mean titer ratio from pre-vaccination to 22 days post-vaccination. While the study authors adjusted for multiple covariates, they found that statin users had lower average titer ratios than non-statin users, indicating that statins may decrease immune response to the influenza vaccine. Further, it was found that synthetic statins, such as fluvastatin, atorvastatin, and rosuvastatin, may dampen immune response more than fermentation-derived statins. There are some limitations to this study that one must consider, including a majority of the participants were from outside the U.S., Novartis funded the study, and statin use wasn't randomly assigned. Overall, this study should be viewed as hypothesis generating, and further investigation into the relationship between statins and vaccine immune response is needed. A commentary article published in the same journal concluded that no changes in current practices are necessary. Thus, statin users should continue to take their statin and get vaccinated. And now to Landon for COP Entertainment News.
Our fellow colleagues Lauren Caldoun and Jill Spitzmuller will be hosting this year's talent show, which will be January 19th in the Weber Music Hall. Will reigning champions Ajay Patel and Meena Mudugappan return to defend their title? What will the faculty conjure up this year? Will Andrea Richards and John Oman finally sing their highly anticipated Gold Digger duet? For these answers and more, stop in on Tuesday, January 19th. Let's check in with Ollie for the weather.
It's gonna rain!
Thanks, Ollie. In other news, a journal article published this month in the New England Journal of Medicine were the results of the systolic blood pressure intervention trial, commonly known as the SPRINT trial. This trial was a large randomized controlled trial evaluating differences in patients treated to a target of less than 140 compared to less than 120 millimeters of mercury. The SPRINT trial concluded patients with tighter blood pressure control had a 25% lower risk of heart attacks and acute coronary syndrome, a 38% decreased risk of developing heart failure, a 43% decreased risk of death from cardiovascular events, and a 27% lower risk of death from any cause. Understandably, more adverse effects were reported in the intensive treatment group, including low blood pressure, fainting, electrolyte imbalances, acute kidney injuries, and acute renal failure. Injurious falls and low heart rate were equivalent in both groups, and orthostatic hypotension was actually less common in the intensive group. These results apply to all adults over age 50 with hypertension, but without diabetes. 2014 evidence-based guidelines for the management of high blood pressure in adults. Might as well throw that in the trash. You might want to start considering treating individuals with hypertension and without diabetes to a goal systolic blood pressure of less than 120 millimeters of mercury. Let's send it over to Erin with the sports report.
In preparation for the upcoming 9th annual Pharmacy Bonspiel, we tracked down rising star Dr. Jacob Brown to hear his thoughts on the stiff competition. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
So what advice do you have for a novice curler like myself?
Yeah, so I would recommend you do what I did, and that's beg Dr. Bastianelli to take you down to the deck and show you how to curl. Alternatively, I was thinking about this. You could also just find a rock and wait for Lake Superior to freeze over and just go push it around. I think that might be equally as helpful.
All right, so wait for Lake Superior to freeze.
Or find an inland lake that's frozen, you know.
Good point. Okay.
There's a lot of those around here.
I will definitely consider both of those. Thank you. So I've also heard that many curlers experience some wardrobe malfunctions. How much time do you spend on picking out your curling attire?
Yeah, that's a great question. So my rookie year, which is last year, I wore a Top Gun onesie, which
Ooh.
it's kind of hard to find onesies that fit you very well, which may have been a bit of a tactical mistake because I couldn't really get a good glide going down based on how the onesie fit me. So I definitely go with something loose, something comfortable. It's also kind of cold in there, so probably something warm as well.
Okay. Layers.
Layers could be very helpful. Things
Okay.
that allow you to move freely. Very
Alright.
important with curling.
Good deal. What clothing material would you say confers the greatest advantage for performing well?
Greatest advantage. I don't know what they were for the Olympics, but I would guess some type of lycra spandex maybe, something that's close fitting but very flexible and allows you to move around freely.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you need something that keeps you a little bit warm. So because you're
Okay.
kind of out there for a long time and you're just sliding around on ice for a few hours. So I would say something that'll keep maybe like a wool, something that wicks moisture well, just in case you get wet. I'd probably stay away from cotton.
Okay.
Not the greatest option.
All right. Lycra and wool. All right.
Yeah.
So one last question.
Mm-hmm.
How have performance-enhancing drugs affected the playing field this year?
I've heard rumors in the past of Swinoski's team doping up.
Ooh.
So I don't know if regulations have been increased at all.
Okay.
But I could definitely see it playing a part in this. I think testing should be increased a little bit. Like Swinoski's team should just show up in a bunch of Lance Armstrong jerseys. Might as well make it obvious or admit what they're doing. But I think as testing has gone up, they've had to work a lot harder to get around some of those things. So I think it's slowly being weeded out and the playing field is being leveled.
It'll be interesting to see what happens.
It will.
Well, folks, that's all we have for you today.
Thanks for joining us. And from all of us here at COP News, have a great day.